Hey guys, welcome to a recap of Bible study on the book of Ruth, chapters 1 and 2. There is so much in these two chapters, and I don't. And if you're reading it or you're gonna read it, please read it. If you and just see all that's in here. In here, we have a family, and the family of Elimelech. He is from Bethlehem. Him, his wife, and their two sons. They experienced a famine in Bethlehem, in the city of Judah, or in Judah, which means praise. I think this is so important. I have tried to, say this a couple of times on tapes that you guys don't see, because I think that it becomes important. Because here, this family leaves a place where there was just where there becomes a famine, and Judah is known as praise. So when your praise dries up, you need to shift, you need to move, you need to go somewhere where you can then prosper, where you can feel alive, where you can eat and feel that fullness. I mean, to me, there's a spiritual thing. I don't know if you guys are getting this, but I'm trying my best to get you to hear this and to be as almost brief as I can on all that I see that's happening here. So we have a family that leaves a place that they're familiar with, their home, because the praise has dried up, and so they have to move. And so they move to this place called Moab. And in this place in Moab, things are going well, and they're becoming established, and they have sons, and the sons get married, and life is wonderful. And then what happens when life is wonderful? Then people die, right? So Elimelech, he dies, and then his son dies. And here now, the place in which they were flourishing and things were looking so good now looks so bad. And here we are with now Naomi deciding, and she's telling her daughter-in-laws, we come down to verse 6, she comes and she tells her daughter-in-laws, this place that was prosperous is no longer prosperous for me, but I understand in Bethlehem and Judah, the praise has returned and the famine is over, and we should go to Bethlehem. And that's a wonderful thing, but it's also a scary thing, because here the daughter-in-laws, Orpah and Ruth, are Moabites, and they would now be leaving their homeland to go somewhere where they would not be received, that they would not be welcome. But here they have this attachment to the mother-in-law, and so they kind of plead with her for a minute not to leave her side, and then Orpah decides that she's going to go back home, because Ruth is employing them to go back home, go to to the land of your fathers, because guess what? I am barren and I'm old, and if I did get remarried and had children, you'd have to wait to become grown men in order for you to marry them, because that was the custom. So here she's saying, I don't have anything to offer you guys, so you should go back home. And so she kisses her daughters, her daughter-in-laws, and she bids them goodbye. But in her grief, and there's this moment, and she's trying to release them, so there's that sadness. But then there's a daughter-in-law by the name of Ruth, and this plea, gosh, there's a word. I'm sorry, forgive me. This decree, this promise, this thing that she says to Ruth, to Naomi, starting at verse 16, is something that I truly believe, if we would commit to God the way that Ruth is about to commit to her mother-in-law, we would just find ourselves on a whole nother level. If we committed in our marital situations the way Ruth is about to commit to her mother-in-law, wow, it'll just be astounding. So you're like, what is it, Angie? Tell me what it is. And give me this second. Let me tell you. So as Naomi is pleading for them to go, Ruth stops her and she replies, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me." Do you hear that? Do you hear that? This commitment is so binding. It's so powerful. Ruth is saying, "You know what, Naomi, you're my mother-in-law. I'm here. I am here for this. I am here. I am okay with going to your land, to your country. I am okay with making sure that you're okay," which means that the life that Naomi lived in front of Ruth, the life that Naomi, so sorry guys, the life that Naomi lived in front of Ruth was so powerful, was so ordained, was so anointed, that here Ruth is saying, nothing will separate me from being by your side. Nothing is going to stop me from being there for you. Nothing is going to make me turn my back on you. Nothing. Do y'all hear that? If we made that kind of commitment to God, that nothing could distract me, nothing would turn me away from you, nothing could hold me from stopping from just serving you, nothing could do that. Let death be the only thing that separated me. Let the consequences of my actions, if I don't live up to it, let it be death on the spot. That's a powerful commitment. And so then Naomi realizes that, okay, Ruth is going to stay. So we journey down and they get to Bethlehem. So verse 19, they get to Bethlehem and Naomi is greeted. She's greeted by her friends. They're so excited that she's back. And she says, she vows here now to change her name. And in verse 19, she says, her friends are excited about this. So in verse 20, she says, "Don't call me Naomi." And Naomi means pleasant. She said, "Don't call me pleasant." She told them, "Call me Mara," which means sorrow, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. Have you ever been in a place where maybe we don't think about changing our names nowadays, but where we're so bitter, where we're so mad, we're so angry at God, that we're so angry that even right after this commitment and after this vow that Ruth has made to Naomi, not only is she mad with God for taking her husband and taking her sons, but she also says how the Almighty has made my life very bitter. She goes, "I went away full." She went away full. She went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. She left with her husband and her children. She was full. She is coming back with her daughter-in-law and she says she's empty. Sometimes we don't even recognize who's standing right there with us, right? And that's where she is. So Naomi, so we got 22, Naomi returned from Moab, accompanied by Ruth, the Moabite, her daughter-in-law, arriving in Bethlehem as the barley harvest was beginning. So here we have so we're going to go into verse 2, and Ruth's pledge is like so still serious, So in verse 2, Ruth the Moabite says to Naomi, "Let me go to the fields and pick up the leftover grains behind anyone in whose eyes I find favor." Now there's a part here for me that I so enjoy because I've seen it. It says, it's kind of like whose eyes I find favor. And when we say whose eyes, it's usually kind of like, this is NIV, but in other translations is read, it's more of a prayer like, Lord, if I find favor in you, and this is something that Nehemiah says, if I find favor, he prayed to the Lord that, things would open. Moses in Exodus 33, if I find favor, and if you find favor in me, Lord, please open up doors. And here we have favor that is being granted to Ruth as she enters out and she goes into a field. And what she does is she winds up working in a field that was owned by Boaz, which happens to be a kinsman redeemer or a close family member of Naomi's husband. And so in verse 5, Boaz asks the overseer of his harvesters, who does that woman belong to? He is talking about Ruth. And why is he noticing her? Because she is out there working really hard. And of course, small towns brings great news. And Boaz has heard about all that Ruth has promised and has done for her mother-in-law. And so he opens up a door that favor is found there. And the favor that happens, he's in verse 8, he tells to Ruth, he says, my daughter, listen to me. Do not go and glean in another field and don't go away from here. Stay here with the women who work for me. Watch the fields where the men are harvesting and follow along after the women. I have told the men not to lay a hand on you. This woman is not only giving an open door to come and to glean and to continue to support her mother-in-law, but she's also given protection. So favor is definitely found, because remember, I hope I said this, being that Ruth was from Moab, she was a Moabite, and the Jewish people did not like her. She was an outsider. She was an outcast. She was not as good as they are. But here Boaz, the kinsman redeemer, says, yes, you are, and I will protect you. I will put covering over you. And there is blessings, because Ruth's desire was to go out and to find favor, and she does. So much, and so much more. I know you guys are going to find some things. And if you want to find some things and you want to say, Angie, you missed this, I really love this, I would love to hear it. May God bless you. May God keep you. Like, share. Guys, thank you so much. Have a blessed day. Bye, guys.